They say family is supposed to be your safety net. But what happens when the net isn't there to catch you, only to strangle you? My name's Lena Cross. I'm 29 years old, and tonight I'm going to tell you how I staged my quietest rebellion, one my family never saw coming. I've spent my entire life building something solid out of scraps. Degree, career, even the cheap dining table I sanded and painted myself. No shortcuts, no safety nets. And yet, in my family's eyes, my worth was never in who I was. It was in what I could provide. My older sister, Marissa, God, where do I start? She was 2 years ahead of me, but always drowning in chaos. Unpaid rent, lost jobs, failed relationships. And somehow, every single time, the rescue mission landed on me. Mom and Dad never called it pressure. They called it love. Lena, you're stable, you're lucky, you can help. But love doesn't feel like debt. And that's what it became. An endless tab written in guilt and obligation. Sunday dinners at my parents' house were like theater. The same casserole, the same small talk, the same storm clouds behind polite smiles. That night, though, the script was different. Mom greeted me with a sweetness that felt rehearsed. Dad barely looked up from his glass. And Marissa, she couldn't even meet my eyes. I already knew what was coming. Halfway through dinner, Mom folded her hands, leaned in, and with a smile soft enough to slice through steel, she said, "Sweetheart, Marissa will be moving in with you for a while."
Just like that.
No question. No discussion. Just a decree. I looked around that table, Mom glowing with false hope, Dad bracing for a fight, Marissa smirking like she'd already won. They were waiting for my selfish refusal. But instead I smiled. Of course. If it helps her get back on her feet, why not? The silence was electric. They thought I'd surrendered. What they didn't know was that I hadn't lived in that condo for weeks. And the key they were banking on no longer existed. I didn't become a liar overnight. It took years of quiet suffocation, co-signing Marissa's car loan at 21 only to watch her abandon the payments, wiring thousands for Mom and Dad's mortgage with no thank you, paying lawyers when Marissa's recklessness caught up with her. Every time I tried to draw a line, I was called cold. "You don't know what it means to care," Mom told me once. But here's the truth. In our family, caring just meant sacrifice yourself first. So I sold the condo. Quietly. Cashed out, signed papers, and disappeared into a rental across town. No announcement, no explanation. For once, my space was mine, and mine alone. Still, the text rolled in. "We'll bring Marissa's mattress Saturday." Dad's loading the truck. She's so excited to have her own space. They were writing a story I was no longer a character in, and I let them. Saturday morning, while they marched toward a home that wasn't mine anymore, I wandered through a farmer's market with a coffee in hand, breathing for the first time in years. Until my phone buzzed. It was Mom, her voice sharp with panic. "There's a man here. Says he lives in your condo." "Lena, what's going on?" I let the silence linger. "I sold it," I said flatly. The sound that followed was chaos. Dad swearing, Marissa shouting, Mom demanding answers. But I gave them nothing more. I knew that wouldn't be the end. By sunset, there was a knock at my real door. I peeked through the peephole. Mom, Dad, Marissa, and a car full of boxes. When I opened it halfway, Mom's voice shook. "We didn't think you'd actually leave." Dad's voice rose. "You promised she could move in." Marissa's arms were crossed, face flushed with rage. "You're cruel, Lena. You think you're better than us. This is family. You don't just shut the door." I tilted my head. "You packed your life into boxes without even asking if the place still existed. That's not my cruelty. That's your entitlement." Dad stepped forward. "We're not leaving. You owe this to your sister." There it was, the word that had chained me for years.
Oh.
I picked up my phone. 3 rings. 911. "What's your emergency?" "My family is here," I said calmly. "They won't leave. They're not on the lease. I'd like to report trespassing." The silence behind me was heavier than any scream. Mom's voice finally cracked. "You'd call the police on your own blood?" Yes, I said. Because blood shouldn't come with a bill. The officer arrived. My parents pleaded. Marissa seethed. But eventually they left. The next morning, my phone lit up with missed calls, Facebook posts dripping with heartbreak emojis, relatives branding me as the ungrateful daughter. But I didn't answer. For the first time in my life, I didn't need to. That night, in the quiet of my little rental, I made tea and stood on the balcony. The city hummed below, strangers waved, and for once, I felt lighter. Not heroic, not vengeful, just free. Because here's the thing about family. If they only love you for what you can give, then what they're offering isn't love, it's debt. And I'm done paying. If you've ever had to cut ties with family to save yourself, tell me your story in the comments. I'm listening.